But just before we hit the markets to find out what the prices are saying this morning and perhaps a chance to drive down those prices, let's get the other side of this conversation. We're joined on the program, still staying with the betting conversation, the gambling conversation, whatever you want to call it. Ademola Adediji is an iGaming expert. By the way, iGaming is essentially a term for online gambling and betting and the rest. He joins us virtually on the show this morning. Ademola, good to have you on the morning brief.
Yeah, good morning, Kyle. Great to be on the show.
I don't know if you're one of the people that's been dragging the Honorable over that motion which he moved on the floor of the House of Representatives, but he's since come out to clarify the position that it's not to ban gambling, sports betting and the rest, but to have stronger regulations in terms of age, the terms and conditions, orientation, and perhaps a cap. I don't know if there's a conversation around capping just how much people can bet on a daily basis. But talk to us about the side of betting that people don't know. A lot of people think, well, this is the wrong way to spend your money. It is, people who don't have things to do with their money that gamble, losers, and the rest. Talk to us about that, and then your reaction to what the Honorable has said.
Well, first of all, sports betting or online gambling is a touchy subject. It is touch and go, depending on the side of the divide that you belong to, whether you're pro sports betting or not. Obviously, or maybe not obviously, I am into sports betting myself, and like I said, it is touch and go, and there's a thin line between doing it the right way and doing it the wrong way. And if you ask me if I'm on the side of stricter regulations, yes. Because I think since the act that established the NLROC, that's the National Lottery Regulatory Commission, there hasn't been any look at the laws again that is governing sports gambling in Nigeria. And of course, the state of sports gambling in Nigeria, sports betting, the industry, is not where it used to be. Maybe at the start, it has grown in leaps and bounds. Many betting companies are seeing opportunities in Nigeria, and more people are even taking to sports betting. So I think there's a need for regulations, stricter regulations, both to protect the players, the customers, and the betting companies themselves, because they are need for business. They are not a charity organization. So we need to strike a balance. And I think I like the fact that the Honorable Lawmaker is thinking along the lines of protecting the players, the interests of the players, but it goes beyond protecting the interests of the players alone. There are other areas that we have to look into as it concerns sports betting as it continues to grow in Nigeria. So I think somebody asked the question, I think there's a question of taxation on sports betting in Nigeria. We haven't really done much in that regard. And considering the fact that we're in the throes of economic downturn, I think that's something we have to look at. This is going to be an unpopular thing, but of course, it is what it is. There's also the psychological aspect of it. There are so many areas. There are so many facets to sports betting rather than protecting the interest of the bettors alone. And this is not a dig at anybody. I think the Honorable Lawmaker was talking about sportsbook or betting companies. It's inclined to call themselves, here in Nigeria, call them betting companies. Change terms and conditions when games are being played. I don't really think so. Because we have a terrible habit of not reading the fine lines, and I'm sure the NLRC must have vetted their terms and conditions before they can put it on the site. And more often than not, these terms and conditions are for bonuses, promotions generally, rolling promotions and welcome bonuses, not for sports betting in itself, betting on games and sports events. So these are some of the things we need to look. But overall, I think I'm in support of even stricter regulations. Because, like I said, it's 50-50, and if we don't get it right, it may lead to some problems. So I'm all for stricter regulations.
So I want to look at it, since you're the expert in this space, from the cultural perspective. It's, like you said, it's a very touchy issue. Before I talk about the finances and the monies and all of that, we still raise a concern about what the people that are players or the stakeholders in the space can do to protect young Nigerians. When you look at the number of people engaged in it, for the business person, it's quite good. But for culture and society, it's a bit troubling when you see the number of underage people coming in. So what do you think can be done by the operators to help, bring down that number of young people, underage young people, engaging in sports betting and literally throwing their lives away?
Well, one of the major problems we have in the sports betting industry in Nigeria is underage gambling. And I think it's something we really have to look at, the regulators, the betting companies themselves. I don't really think they're doing much in that regard. That is in trying to curb underage gambling, because there's something called retail betting. That is what some people refer to as betting centers. A lot of these companies have retail betting shops that people can walk into. Despite the fact that people have access to the betting apps and all of those things, there's still a large chunk of people who are not tech savvy and who place bets, and then they walk into the nearest retail betting center and then place their bet. And the people who are in charge of these betting centers, I do not think they do enough in vetting the people who come to these stores and place bets. Personally, I've seen a lot of underage people that I know that definitely they are not up to 18 in betting shops. I try as much as possible to talk. It's not like I go there regularly, but they're everywhere. They're ubiquitous. You see them everywhere. So when I have the opportunity, I try to educate them and say, hey, this person is up to 18. This person should not be here. And then you're even flouting the laws governing sports betting in Nigeria. So I try to do that once in a while when I find myself in that position. Like I said earlier in my earlier submission, I said it's not only it's part of protecting the players. Stopping underage gambling is part of protecting the players. And I think the NLRC, the states gambling board, because there are quite a number of states in Nigeria that have their own regulatory commission. In fact, there's an ongoing battle between the NLRC and the state regulatory commissions. That's a discussion for another day. I think they really have to do much in that regard. There should be an enforcement in that if you are caught in the web of maybe providing betting services, whether online or offline to underage people, there will be repercussions of fines, or maybe in the extreme cases, if they are repeat offenders, licenses will be taken from them or suspended for a period of time. I think we have to take the stance to make sure that we curb underage gambling. Even in the West, underage people still engage in betting, but they do it on the dark web, not like recently like we do it here. And I think we have to do much in terms of protecting underage gamblers. I mean, the legal age of betting in Nigeria is 18, and then if you're 15, 16, you're just a few years away from betting, so you can just be patient and bet. But of course, you ought to want to make quick money, and the popularity of sports betting will lure people to want to go and bet, even when they know that they are not legally allowed to place bet. But it is the onus is on the betting companies, the regulatory authorities, to make sure that they stem the tide so that it doesn't become a pandemic, really. And then on the question of culture and sports betting, there's legality, there's culture, and what you believe. Culturally, in the past, before it became legal in Nigeria, even till now, people still look at it and say, you're gambling doing this. But there are ways to this thing. Like I said, I play sports betting myself, and I don't think I go over the line. So it's a balancing act. If it is legal, you can bet. But there are some people who think you should not be doing this. It is irresponsible of you. Anybody who places bets or wager money on something in the hope of getting money back is not living up to societal standard. But it is up in the air, really. If you hold the cultural view, yes, I will not blame you. But if you want to place bets, it's okay. Once you are above or you have met the legal age requirement for you to place bets, and you are placing bets responsibly, I think that's okay.
You know, Mr. Adedeji, I chuckled for a bit when you were talking about underage participating in sports betting. It sounded like you're asking 15 and 16-year-olds to just hold on 2 more years before they can participate. But, you know, that's another part of the conversation that we may never exhaust. I'd like you to speak to the figures that we're getting from the Regulatory Commission. 65 million Nigerians participating in sports betting. That's about a quarter of the population, or more than that. And then $15 per day is spent on sports betting. This is amid complaints about eroding incomes and the rising cost of commodities. What do you see in between those statistics? Is it desperation, or as an iGaming expert yourself, how can you explain it?
Well, on the surface of it, it's a lot of money. And I don't think we should be placing that amount of money on placing bets. But it is what it is. Like I said, Nigeria has a large population, good football culture, fan culture, sports-loving people, and of course, there are other factors like science and technology. We have internet-enabled phones, internet penetration, and ultimately, the lure of making money quickly, money that you may not make in your entire life. I know people have won millions of naira, 30 million, 60 million. Even yesterday, somebody won 60 million on Sunday. So there's that lure, and there's the economic woes that we are going through. And sometimes in your head, you think, I just need maybe 500 naira to place a bet, and then if I get lucky, if the stars align for me, I'm working with 16 million naira. But it doesn't always happen like that. In fact, maybe it is 1 in 1,000. I'm not sure of the statistics, but it doesn't always happen like that. But then again, because people see this as a means out of poverty, whether temporarily or permanently, they tend to wager more. Even when they lose, they tend to chase their losses, which is one of the things I would never advise anybody to do. When you lose a bet, you just move on to the next one, and maybe another day you try your luck again, see if you can win. But we have a tendency to chase our losses because, no, I've lost here, I have to recoup my money and then possibly get extra profit. These are some of the things that contributes to the staggering amount of money that people wager on sports betting. And unfortunately, it is likely to get higher if we don't sort the economic quagmire that we have found ourselves in. But interestingly, it will interest you to know that we don't even bet as much as Kenyans. Yes, they don't have the kind of population that we have. I don't have the figures on the money, but I know that it's a pandemic in Kenya now. Almost everybody bets in Kenya, despite the heavy tax regime in Kenya. The companies pay about 3 different types of taxes. Even the bettors themselves, there are taxes on stakes, and 20% withholding tax on winnings. So this hasn't even deterred people from placing bets. And even more betting companies are entering into the Kenya iGaming market in the last few months. So I think it goes back to the regulation. I've just given the example of Kenya that has this very, very strict tax regime on the sports betting industry. But more people are betting, more betting companies are coming in. But people are willing to part with their money in hope of winning maybe a lump sum or a financial windfall or something. If we do not sort these economic problems that we have, more people will turn to sports betting, and then we'll have, I don't want to say problems, more challenges on our hands if we do not properly regulate sports betting.
I think you've touched at a very important point. That's the economic situation. I mean, some might also debate and say, well, whether the economy is good or not, even in other climes, you have people still gambling. It's become some sort of habit. It's now compulsion. Exactly. They can't help it. But as we wind down, I want to get a bit personal here. Because there are like two divides. You know, there are people who look at bettors or people who bet from this side, and they think, and I don't want to say they judge and say, no, this person obviously has an addiction problem. What is going through this person's mind? Is it that this person doesn't think I can make it without gambling? Can't I just invest my money or engage in another form of venture that is widely acceptable, like starting a factory or starting a small business or what have you? But on a personal note, you are an iGaming expert, so I don't think you are like the average bettor out there. Do you sometimes sit back and think, is it really worth it? Do the benefits really outweigh the risk? Do you get on the verge of addiction sometimes, depression when you lose games? I know this is a bit personal, but I just wanted to, if you don't mind me asking, just get your thoughts on that.
Well, sometimes when I've not even gotten close to getting on the verge of being depressed or not, because I bury my spare money I can part with, maybe give somebody or do something I can part with easily. So I do not really, there's no chance of me getting depressed by losing bet or something or racking up a series of losses. So I do not, but sometimes I just stay off personal exclusion and say, I'm not betting this week. If sometimes it depends on the situation. If I'm not feeling up to it, or maybe I think I have something serious that I need to focus, I'm not betting. If I have placed bet for like 2-3 consecutive days, I haven't won, do some form of self-exclusion, which is a feature I'd like to see many more sports betting companies in Nigeria imbibe or make available on their system. I know there are a few who have it, but a lot of them do not have it. So I think it's something look into in the broader terms of regulation. So again, to reiterate, I don't think I've gotten close to being depressed, and I know how to strike a balance between wagering too much and staying just to let things cool off.
So it's important, those points you made. Do not wager money that you cannot afford to lose. Exactly, just wager a little bit. You talked about sufficient duty of care to customers and players. It's important for those companies to also pay attention to that. And thank you so much for giving a lot of people a peek into the world of gambling.
I wonder what's his biggest win so far.
She's wondering what your biggest win so far is.
Okay.
If you don't mind us asking.
No, I didn't get the question.
Your biggest win so far?
My biggest win?
Can you give us a range?
You can give us a range.
Can I share that on TV? Well, I can say I won last weekend and it's in the millions.
Okay.
There you go.
Pay your taxes.
Ademola Adedeji. Interesting. Ademola Adedeji, iGaming expert. iGaming, by the way, is online betting and the rest. We'd like to thank you so much for sharing these insights. I think it's important to always have these conversations out there so we can always protect ourselves. Thank you for your time on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, there you go. Bukola finally got that question off our chest. Well, we'll take a moment now, and when we return, we'll talk about the economy, the cost of food items, and this is something we talked about yesterday. So we're going into the markets literally to talk about these things, and Ladi Williams will join us in just about a moment. Stay with us on the show.